Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video and a new updated series, which is an Amazon Lord of the Rings show location overview series where we will be looking at all the regions, lands and kingdoms that we will see in the upcoming Amazon Lord of the Rings TV series. In the first episode we'll be looking at Eregion, which hopefully will be one of the more pivotal locations for Lord of the Rings on Prime. We'll look at the history of the place, main characters / story arcs, and the main events that we can see in the show. So let's begin. As we all know already, the Amazon show will be set in the Second Age, and Eregion was officially formed in the year 750 of the Second Age by Celeborn and Galadriel. However, according to the Unfinished Tales and the chapter History of Celeborn and Galadriel, it states, quote, Celeborn and Galadriel therefore went eastwards about the year 700 of the Second Age and established the primarily but by no means solely Noldoran realm of Eregion. So it was founded by Galadriel and Celeborn, but I think this time period is a bit too early for us to see in the show, but we could potentially see flashback scenes. The capital Ost-in-Edhil, which I will do a separate video on, was also formed around this time period as well. But this was only the foundations of Eregion, as after the First Age most of the Noldor elves resided in Lindon under the High King Gil-galad. In Lindon there was an elf named Celebrimbor who was the grandson of Feanor and the last of the House of Feanor left in Middle-earth. Celebrimbor, after many centuries in Lindon, left Lindon and went eastward. The main motive of this journey was the promise by dwarves of Mithril from the mines of Moria. Many elves followed Celebrimbor in this journey. Before we continue, here is the geography of the realm of Eregion. It was west of the Misty Mountains and southeast of Eriador. The Glanduin River also flowed through the realm above the capital Ost-in-Edhil. But back to the story. For many years after Celebrimbor settled, all the separate places in Eregion lived harmoniously, and there was a special relationship between the elves of Eregion and the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. This relationship was solidified by a high road which ran from Ost-in-Edhil, the capital, to Khazad-dûm, establishing the further friendship between the two races. The main characters and groups during this time were the Great Myrdain, and also known as the, quote, People of Jewelsmiths, which was a guild of craftsmen with Celebrimbor being the leader. Their work was renowned as being excellent. Now that we have covered the creation and the early period of Eregion, now we will be going into the main and most important events that we could see in the show. There will be spoilers ahead. In the year 1200 of the Second Age, a never before seen person who went by the name of Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, arrived in Eregion and sought friendship with Celebrimbor and the elves of Eregion. Annatar taught the Great Myrdain ring making and consequently supported them with the creation of the Rings of Power. Soon after they had learned the craft of ring making, Annatar left Eregion. After he had left, the Great Myrdain and Celebrimbor smiths, with their new knowledge of ring making, forged 3 more rings in the year 1590 of the Second Age. These would be the 3 elven rings Nenya, Vilya and Narya, and these rings were without the influence and corruption of Sauron, as he did not know about the creation of them. Finally, in the year 1600 of the Second Age, Sauron created and forged the One Ring of Power, and the elves and all other races in Middle-earth had known that they had been deceived, and that Annatar was actually Sauron in disguise. Following this, in the year 1693 of the Second Age, the 3 rings were separated and sent by Celebrimbor to Galadriel in Lothlorien, who received the ring of Nenya, with the other 2 rings Vilya and Narya sent to Lindon, and to Gil-galad and Círdan, respectively. These events began the War of the Elves and Sauron. This war included many locations like Numenor, Lindon, etc., so we will be only focusing on the specific events that happened in Eregion. Celebrimbor, the Lord of Eregion, led the defense of the assault from Sauron after the 3 Elven rings weren't handed over to him. Celebrimbor and Eregion refused this offer, which angered Sauron as he did not have direct control over all rings of power, so therefore he brought a full and mighty force on Eregion, which resulted in the fall of Ost-in-Edhil in the year 1697 of the Second Age, where Celebrimbor led the last defense at the House of Myrdain, and which was in fact the guild house of the Elven jewelsmiths. This desperate defense ultimately failed, and he was taken captive and shot by an arrow, with his carcass and body used as a banner by Sauron. However, while Eregion was being besieged, a host led by Elrond and sent by Gil-galad from Lindon came to aid Eregion, but were too late. Sauron lay waste to Eregion and its inhabitants, with some surviving elves scattering and joining Elrond's late host up north. Which concludes the history of Eregion and its land. During the time period between 750 and 1697 of the Second Age, Eregion transitioned from its foundation by Galadriel and Celeborn to the peaceful reign of Celebrimbor, the Lord of Eregion and the Great Myrdain, until the emergence of Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, disguised as Sauron in the year 1200 of the Second Age. Before then there was great communication and trading with the dwarves, etc. Following this, the creation of the Rings of Power and the 3 Elven rings, which led to the War of the Elves and Sauron defined the final moments of the kingdom. We will definitely see Eregion in the show, and it all just depends on what time period we would start in with the first season. The foundation by Galadriel and Celeborn would be too early, but maybe after Celebrimbor arrived in Eregion and that time period before Annatar arrived, around before 1200 of the Second Age, could be a good starting point if we want to start in a quote relative time of peace. Of course, the story of the creation of the Rings of Power will hopefully be seen in the show, and Eregion will take center stage. Ost-in-Edhil, the capital, which we'll see and look at in further detail soon, will be very interesting to see, and the relationship between Celebrimbor and the elves of Khazad-dûm. But that's it about Eregion for the show. That I've covered, I think, most of the things that we will see. But let me know in the comments below if you are excited to see Eregion and potentially Ost-in-Edhil and other places, for example like Khazad-dûm as well in the show, and maybe seeing that connection between each of these kingdoms. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of this brand new series. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Until the next video, my friends, goodbye.